2024, what are some of your thinking for content creators? And maybe first for the upstart, because we're at a different scale. You're at a whole different scale. And some people are trying to figure out a side hustle. Speak to them, and then we'll talk about media companies at scale.
Got it. So somebody that's getting started, look at everybody on the marketplace and get everybody a score. Here's what I mean by it. So you know how in baseball, this guy named Billy Beane, the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, right? The guy, Billy Beane, he's the only guy I brought to events 3 times. I love interviewing this guy, and he never lets me interview him. It's the only thing. We love doing it, but he never wants his stuff to be recorded for whatever reason. No problem. I respect it. So in baseball, they say this guy's a 5-tool player. He's fast. He's a good hitter. He's a good defender. So he's a 5-tool player, right? In content creation, there's the concept of 5-tool, except maybe it's not 5-tool, it's 3-tool, it's 4-tool, but there's different tools. So for example, in podcasting, there are guys that are very good interviewers. They ask very good questions, okay? There are guys that only ask the questions that ChatGPT pops out. What they don't realize is a great interviewer asks the follow-up question. So not the first question, but the second one. How did you feel about that? What do you think about this? What about if this happens? What about if that happens? ChatGPT doesn't tell you the reaction questions, right? But some people are very good interviewers. Number 2, some people are entertaining. They're funny, they're comedian, or they got this temper, or they got an animated way of explaining whatever they're. So the personality is, you're just attracted by these guys. Like, wow, that guy's a very interesting guy. I want to know more about the guy. Then the third factor of somebody that's doing interviews is good questions, entertaining. The next one is you're sexy, you're attractive, you got muscles, you got nice body, you got all this stuff. So if you got it, use it, right? Good looking people on camera, it helps you as well. There's a lot of people that got millions of followers because they're attractive, but nobody cares about the content. You're just hot as hell, right? So then the last one is somebody that is also very, very good with their opinions. So I want to know, what does this guy think? Oh, interesting, very interesting angle. So for example, Joe Rogan, you watch him, he's entertaining, he's funny, you like his personality, he can talk content on different levels. So you follow the guy, like, I actually really want to hear what this guy has to say. So your opinion could be sports, like all of a sudden Pat McAfee is doing sports and talking about what's going on, and Aaron Rodgers is on his podcast every week, and the next thing you know, Spotify picks him up, and then boom, ESPN picks him up, and he's getting paid all this money. What happened all of a sudden? The guy had a personality, he was different, he was fired up, he's got big personality, he's asking the tough questions, he's got strong opinions, criticism of the league, he's got all of that stuff. He's like a 5-tool content creator, right? So you have to look at, as a starter, what angle you're going to take that's different than others. And on the content side, write down topics you're very good at and then see how many layers you can go deep on. So for example, I used to ask myself, okay, let me see if I'm good into business topics. Then I would watch a podcast guy on business, and he's interviewing somebody, and he asked them the question. I would say, pause. How would you answer it? I would answer it this way. Write it down. Okay, now let's see how he answers it. Okay, I think your answer is better. Okay, cool. So you can hang with this guy. Next question, boom. How would you answer it? Pause. Here's how I would answer it. Click. Now his answer is better. You're kind of checking to see what level of expertise you got on topics. So then you realize, I can't go that deep on this topic, but I can go deep on these 2 topics. And the market, the more multidimensional you are to go 7, 8, 9 layers deeper, the more of an audience you're going to have. So some audience for Valuetainment, they'll come and say, man, I love your mob interviews, okay? Hey, I love your business content. Man, I started being an entrepreneur ever since I watched Valuetainment. I love your political stuff. I love the podcast opinions you got on what's going on. I like your take on business. I like what you're doing with Iran. I like your interviews with bodybuilding. If you are wider with areas you can go deeper on, there's a market for it. So if you're small, getting started, kind of look where you are yourself, ask others what your topics are, and then find a way to see where you're a differentiator at, and then go test it. You're never going to know what's going to happen, but you go test it, and then you're like, you know what? 2 years later, I only had 1,000 subscribers. Most people don't realize this. I did this for 2 years.
After you started Valuetainment, 2 years later, only 1,000.
Go look at the numbers. I started in November of 2012, first video. 2 years later, November 2014, we only have 1,000 subscribers. When Life of an Entrepreneur came out in 90 seconds, that video was uploaded October 30th, I'll give you the exact date, of 2015. If you go look at the channel, October 30th of 2015, I've already been there for 3 years. We only have 2,000 subscribers, The video goes out, I put the title, best motivational video of the year. It only gets 2,500 views. I put it on Facebook, direct upload. When Facebook first came out with this, it gets 10 million views the first 24 hours. That goes viral. And then we went to 15,000 subscribers, 20,000. Then I interviewed Mark Cuban. Then this thing goes to 100,000. So you can't be sitting there saying, wow, look at Sean's got, this many millions, or these guys are doing this, that guy's doing that. I had 1,000 subs after 2 years. Okay. So you can't go doing this expecting you're going to have 1 million within a year.
So now let's talk about media companies. Maybe people got money, maybe?
Yep.
If you got money, do you go big first or do you still kind of bootstrap?
No, there's a lot of guys that want to spend $250,000 a month buying subscribers. You know who they are? I know who they are. How are they doing today? Gone. You know why? Because those subscribers bought you because you were spending money, but you're no longer interesting. Mm-hmm. You were just in their faces. So if you are able to get subscribers without doing any ads, and they show up because your content is that great where people are sharing it, now you have real fans that are staying with you. Don't get me wrong. Like for us, we spend money on ads, we're only doing ads because it's Bald Conference or BPW, or we have SLS coming up, or we're doing an ad for our app that we just launched, Minnect, Minnect, Minnect. You can ask me any questions, DM me a text or video, or have a 50-minute call with me, and you pay for it by the minute. We'll do ads on that, but we don't do ads on YouTube channels. Okay, we don't do ads on that. We may do in the future, but we haven't done it right now because first go on the right, see if you're interesting, see if people like you, see if you're doing good. Then you're like, okay, so some guys are, well, I got 200,000 subscribers, and I'll go and say, yeah, but I look at your last 30 videos, 293 views, 998 views, dude, peep. And then I go all the way to the back. Oh, he has that one video at 48 million views. Oh, it was an ad to a funnel. I got you. That's not real 250,000 subs. It's a different 250,000 subs. So if you're solving for a funnel to sell a product, great. But if you're doing it because you want to be an influencer, you have to go through the grind of whether you can make it or not. And by the way, you and I did it without AI. We didn't have AI. We didn't have ChatGPT. We didn't have any of that stuff. You're just kind of testing. Today, people can do it 10 times faster than you and I because they have better tools than we had. We didn't have these tools. These tools are making things very easy today. But the edge that we had is the audience we got are actually audience we worked very, very hard for. So that's the only disadvantage, guys that come in with money and they're thinking they're winning, but it's fake. You're not really winning.
If you enjoyed this podcast and are ready for some deep dive YouTube strategy, just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to my 1-hour on-demand YouTube strategy class. You'll be looking over my shoulder as I share my best tips, and you can watch it on demand right now at thinkmasterclass.com.